My name is Sunny Marshall. I'm the Code Enforcement Manager for the City of Lakeland. At this time, we ask that you please silence your cell phones. To give opportunity to everyone and have everyone's case heard in a timely manner, please be concise with your comments and avoid being repetitive. The chairperson will call each case by case number, and address as it is listed in the agenda. The order of today's agenda is as follows. In the section 4 appeals, we do not have any appeals scheduled today. On pages 2 through 4, we have reconsiderations. On reconsiderations, an application was submitted requesting the board to reconsider the fine amount and other actions to be taken regarding the disposition of the case. On page 5, we have new cases. These cases were continued from hearing officer or were directly scheduled to the full Code Enforcement Board as the first hearing. On pages 6 through 8, we have fines to be imposed. Those properties did not come into compliance by the date ordered by the hearing officer, and the Code Enforcement Board is to hear the evidence and make a ruling on the fine amount to be imposed. On pages 9 through 12, we have dismissed with a fine. These properties have recently come into compliance and are now being heard before the Code Enforcement Board to address the total amount of the fine. If the respondent is not here, the case will not be heard and will fall into a blanket motion at the end of the hearing. As you come up to speak, please state your name and affiliation to the property. At this time, please stand to be sworn in.
Do you affirm the testimony about the evidence, truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
This hearing is now called to order. Roll call.
Veronica Roundtree.
Here.
Ryan Duke.
Here.
David Hitchcock.
Here.
William Wainwright.
Here.
Jordan Corbin.
Here.
Lolita Merritt.
Present.
Okay. We have approval of the minutes from our last hearing of October 25th. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve the code board minutes from the October meeting.
Motion by Mr. Wainwright,
Second.
second by Mr. Duke. Do we have a vote?
Yes.
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 It has been motioned and approved to accept the minutes from our last hearing. We already swore in the witnesses, so our first case will be on page 2. At the top, the last 4 numbers are 3872, second down. Address is 2048 West Elliott Street. The owner is Chris McDonald. The code enforcement officer is Adam Gomez.
Code Enforcement Officer Adam Gomez for the City of Lakeland. Case number 111-000-8123872. The address of 2048 West Elliott Street. Owner is Chris J. McDonald Sr. City's recommending a 10% reduction, or a reduction for 10% of the original fine for $24,165, plus admin of $19.80.19 for a total of $26,145.19, due by November 15th, 2023.
Okay, state your name for the hearing, sir.
Yes, my name is Chris John McDonald Sr.
Okay, you have heard the officer. What do you have to say?
I have to say that I have some reservations in regards to the fine that's being imposed. I would like to provide evidence that I had no way of paying a fine at the time of this accumulation of the fees, and it was mostly due to incarceration at the time. So I'm looking to provide evidence that will be sent to the board as a representation by certified registered mail, and that will look for further reduction being that if the board approves.
All right, board, do you have any questions or answers for him?
This is a zoning case for
For the fence post, yeah.
For the fence.
Because of the age, back then zoning was
oh, okay, yeah, okay.
fencing.
So,
Well, I just wanted to, Madam Chair, if I could ask you a question.
Yes.
Today's your hearing, so if you don't, the evidence needs to be presented today unless you're asking for a postponement of the hearing to,
A postponement or continuance in order to present the information properly, if that's feasible.
that's obviously within the board's purview to grant that. I don't know if you want to explain.
yeah, if you want to give us an idea, maybe of what we're,
What we're looking at is that I have an OMB number that was given in relation to my case that should be able to take care of the fine, that's been imposed here on the property, due to the fact that even though I was held here a portion in Polk County, right? But there was no notice, proper notice that was sent to me or to any of my representatives at the time, okay? But the fees continue to accumulate and acquire. And without having that information or the opportunity to even respond at the time that it was accumulating in this amount, I feel that there should be some sort of remedy that we would be able to come to an agreement with in getting this settled.
So you're saying in 2008 you was incarcerated?
Not in 2008, from 2012 until 2020.
you referenced the number.
Yeah, I was just going to ask for can you clarify what you mean when you say OMB number?
What I'm saying is that when I say it's an Office of Business Management, Management and Budgets.
Yeah.
Is what it is, Management and Budgets, where there was, the case is itself, what we're talking about. It's a case that doesn't have an actual warrant to it, but the OMB number should provide leeway in order to get this thing resolved. So what I wanted to do was to present more information, more in detail than what I can actually discuss, so we'll have it on, everything here on paper, okay? And be able to make a sound, reasonable decision.
Just to add a little history to this case, the case was opened in 2006 and went to hearing, it went to hearing October of 2006 and was to comply by December. And then it came back before the full code enforcement board because it remained, in violation, and then came into compliance in 2007. So I'm not sure if this mail, if you're saying that you weren't available to be notified during this time frame.
Well, when the case in 2006 and 07, when that came up, the person that I had acquired the property from, which was a construction company, a contracting company, at that time they were going through some issues in regards to actually releasing that property or something that I think his name was Richardson or something. But I was brought in as one of the investors in that group, and there were some issues that were going on. And when I went to his office to try to get some things resolved, for some reason or whatever, he was no longer where I last knew he would be. And I have not had any contact with him since then. So I know it comes up under my name, I understand that, but there was some issues that it was left unresolved before he got out of there.
You said you said 2007 it came into compliance?
No, it came back before the full board to have
Before
the
the full
fine
board.
imposed, and it was closed in 2013. So it was opened in 2006. It went before the hearing officer, in 2006 and 2007 is when the fine was imposed by the board, and the property remained in violation until 2013.
So this 241,000, that's from,
A reconsideration, I believe, was filed to have the fine reduced, and so the fine was reduced for a certain term. Once we pass that term, it will revert to the original amount. So we're asking to keep that.
but the question is, 241,000, is that $50 a day till 2013 or whatever? When did the fine stop?
$30 a day.
$30 a day for what time period?
Excuse me.
And
Angela Kaiser, Code Enforcement Officer of the City of Lakeland. The case actually closed this year, so those fines ran until 2022.
Okay.
oh,
so
this
that's-
specific case is a different, this is for
Okay,
the
so that-
housing case.
Oh, okay.
That explains the big number.
Okay.
So even though, when did you release from incarceration? You said 2020?
Yes, sir. It was,
So you had 2 years, you still didn't get it?
it was in late January, early February.
Why did you have to take 2 years to get it?
Well, in the interim of trying to find out where I needed to be with the property, the information was not coming to me directly. It was going to my residents prior to incarceration, which I subsequently went through a divorce and all that stuff. And there was some, bitterness, if you will, that a lot of the mail and stuff that was being sent out didn't get forwarded over to me.
So you didn't know about it?
Yes, sir.
Did you know about it back in 2008?
I'm sorry.
Did you know about it back in 2008?
In 2008, I had, yes, I did get an information back in '08, and that's why I was working with the contractor at that time to try and get some things resolved there, because some of the things I think that were happening is some promises that he had already stipulated that he would be taking care of certain things as we progressed to transfer the property and everything. So unfortunately, it was, again, misinformation or non-information, and this thing it began to snowball. After 2011, it just really snowballed after that.
And then when did you reach out to Mr. Gomez or whoever at Code Enforcement about the?
We started contacting with Mr. Gomez, it was in August, was it?
No, I mean, I got a reconsideration recently.
It
but you
was,
were-
yes.
you were-
Ms.
Ms. Kaiser,
Yes,
okay.
Ms. Kaiser, that's right, yes.
Okay. But this year, as it was getting
Yes,
closed out?
this year, yeah. I'm trying to get things resolved.
Was the Lakeland Police Department the arresting agency in your case?
No, sir, it wasn't. The arresting agency was, I think it was David G. at the time for Hillsborough County. Yeah.
The reason I ask is because when it comes to notice issues, the city's required to make reasonable efforts to effectuate notice. The statute gives us a specific process that the legislature has deemed as a reasonable effort, and that's the certified mail, the posting on the property, that sort of thing. The Supreme Court of the United States has gone a little bit further and said that even when you have a statutory scheme like that, if something happens and the city is essentially has evidence that the notices that they're sending out through the usual process are not going to the right place, then the city needs to make a reasonable effort to correct that. When a person is incarcerated, I don't know that the city's ever really, we're not really made aware of it. I mean, even if LPD was the arresting agency, they would not necessarily notify code enforcement and tell them. However, I guess there could be an argument there that we should be. I don't know that we are, that that's ever really come up as an issue, but the fact that LPD wasn't involved here, it doesn't sound like the city really had any way of knowing that any of this was happening, and so we would not be obligated to change our addresses or to investigate and track people down to find out where they are. So that I don't see a legal issue with the notice so far from what I'm hearing. But if the gentleman's just asking for a continuance so that he can present more information, that seems to be a pretty harmless request. I don't know if the code enforcement department has an objection to that for some reason, but normally if somebody wants a continuance so they can gather more information, that's something that I would usually recommend that we grant to them to give them the opportunity to do that.
And our recommendation is to extend the deadline date, so it doesn't revert back to the original amount.
Okay, so then he would,
Wait a minute. I'm sorry.
That's not what it's.
yeah, no, this is the full,
Okay.
I mean, it's a 10% reduction, but it's still a substantial amount of money.
So we can continue it if you'd like to make that.
Yeah,
You're gonna
so
change- okay.
based on this information, I'd agree. And if we could go ahead and continue it to next month's code board,
Well, so,
January code board?
are we gonna do January?
We can do January.
Sir, is that enough
January.
time for you to get the information?
That's reasonable time for me, yes, it is. Thank you.
And you can bring it with you if you want. I mean,
Okay.
however you want to get it here.
Yes.
But having it here, you can bring it with you and distribute it to the board. And
Just keep in mind that we broadcast these hearings on television, and whatever you present to the board is going to be
Public record.
broadcast on television and will be a public record.
Absolutely. Okay. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
so with that, yeah, unless you want to, go ahead. I'll make a motion to continue this case to the January Code Enforcement Board.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Wainwright, second by Mr. Hitchcock. Do we have a vote?
Yes.
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 It has been motioned and approved to continue this case until our January hearing. Okay, is that the only one for him today?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, sir. Have a
Thank
nice
you for your
day.
time, board. Appreciate it.
Okay. Our next case is on page 3, in the middle there. Last 4 numbers is 2030. Address is 341 Hennessy Street. The owners are 5T Wealth Partners, LP. Code enforcement officer is Angela Kaiser, and we have attorney Shafin Ramtullah.
Angela Kaiser, Code Enforcement Officer of the City of Lakeland. Case number LCE 18-02030, address is 341 Hennessy Street. The owners listed as 5T Wealth Partners, LP. The violations of Ordinance 3947, Chapter 3, Section 307.4 for care premise. The August 2023 order was to dismiss the case upon the payment of a reduced fine of $730.45. Provided it's paid in full by August 23rd, 2024, or it reverts back to the original amount. At this time, the applicants for this reconsideration are asking for a partial release for the property addresses of 639 West 3rd Street, Lakeland. Parcel number is 232812051500004091. The second address is 317 West 6th Street, Lakeland, parcel number 232812055500010070. The third address is 517 West Robson Street, Lakeland, parcel number 232736016000007140. At this time, the city would recommend that the reconsideration for this be denied.
Okay, state your, are all three of you gonna speak or just one person?
I'll mostly be speaking, but the others will also be speaking.
Well,
They are
everybody
the
stand
owners.
up and state their name, please.
Shafin Remtula here on behalf of the owners of those 3 lots.
Okay,
Silvana Lassa,
okay,
on behalf of two.
okay, thank you. Okay, you can start. You have heard the code enforcement officer. What do you have to say?
Thank you. This is probably an atypical thing that may come up here. I represent 3 owners of 3 separate parcels of land that are unrelated to the parcel that has the subject violation. The violation occurred at 341 Hennessy Street. My clients, they own 639 West 3rd, 317 West 6th, and 517 West Robson Street. By way of background, and I just say this is also related to the next 2 hearings that'll come up. So in an effort to not have to replay this 3 times. By way of background, in 2017 and 18, there was a big tax deed purchaser by the name of 5T Wealth Partners. They're a big purchaser throughout the state of Florida, bought many pieces of vacant land at tax deed sales here. You probably are familiar with their name. At that time, when they purchased those properties at tax deed sales, I think there were already violations on all these properties. It doesn't appear that 5T Wealth did much to resolve those violations, and the properties kind of just kept gaining more and more fines. In late 2020, my clients, and there are 3 separate companies related in a sense, but 3 separate companies who purchased the 3 reference lots for which we're seeking the partial release for. They are home builders, home developers, home builders. They came in, they negotiated, spoke with 5T Wealth about purchasing vacant lots so they can build single-family homes here. At that time, even prior to moving forward with anything, they did order title reports. I have copies of them here. Unfortunately, the title reports only mentioned the liens related to those specific properties that they were wanting to purchase. And those title reports did not include any sort of cross-attaching liens that were related to 5T Wealth's 100 other properties. Subsequent to that, even still, my clients, they in their due diligence, they came to the city of Lakeland, the code enforcement, because we saw some of these liens on these specific properties, and spoke to code enforcement regarding what can be done to reduce the fines in order to make it, for it to make sense. In that process, and Ms. Silvana Lessa, she'll explain exactly what she did in that process by coming to the city of Lakeland multiple times to get these liens that attach to these specific properties that we're trying to get their partial release for. In her many talks, in resolving all the liens that are related to my client's 3 properties, nothing ever came up about cross-attaching liens from 5T Wealth. To that extent, we understand that cross-attaching liens are what they are. A more thorough title report hopefully would have found it. Lien search reports should have found it. But in their due diligence, they came here to the city itself, sat down with representatives here multiple times to find out what liens are on these properties, how do we resolve it. At that time, they subsequently got those liens reduced. I think Ms. Lessa attended hearings here before the board to get fines related to their 3 properties, to get those fines reduced. And those liens were all satisfied. I don't believe there's any such violations on their 3 properties at this point. At the time of purchasing these lots back in April, it was March or April of 2021, they had been building homes on these lots. The first lot, 639 West 3rd Street, there was actually a contract for it to be closed just last month. Unfortunately, this is when they became aware of these cross-attaching liens. And so the title insurer came back and said, well, there's cross-attaching liens related to 3 other properties, that those liens were related to when Phi T Wealth owned these properties. Those have to be resolved in some way or another in order to convey marketable title. They were able to push back that closing on that one property till the end of this month. That said, we have Mr. Rene Fernandez here on behalf of Central Construction Group. That is the owner of 639 West 3rd Street. He has a copy of the sales contract here. I think it's in the amount of $264,000 is the home. He'll be able to explain what, the size, scale of the home. But there is a pending contract ready. The purchasers are going to be residents here. It's not investors. They are going to be residents. We're doing what we can to really, help resolve this in a fair, equitable manner. We understand that, these liens still have to be resolved. The other 2 lots for which Ms. Lessa can explain, 317 West 6th Street and 517 West Robson, they have been building single-family residences on those lots. Those should be completed by end of this year, I believe.
Yes.
The value that they are putting into, these vacant lots that were really kind of costing the county and the city significant amounts of money to maintain, continue accruing fines. To the extent of fine, it keeps accruing. It honestly, kind of, to what extent is it collectible, right? But the value that they have put in after, really doing a fair amount of due diligence, and it's kind of this, we get it, and it's just kind of this asking for, for equity here, and kind of think about what's going to help the city even more on an ongoing basis. I mean, building these homes will increase property values significantly. The amount of property taxes that will be gained every year from now these new homes, people taking care of their own lots. The whole area, is really, just the gentrification of it. And so there are these other, considerations. I have spoken a few times to different members within the county code enforcement. And we're of the understanding that it's rare, in a sense, for the board to do a partial release of other lots within the city of Lakeland. And I understand that. Based upon this kind of, atypical situation here, and Ms. Lessa can really go into the due diligence she did, who she spoke to at code enforcement, the paperwork she has, to really show that this wasn't some way to try to get around these liens. I really thought, with everything, that these liens were all resolved. She had been here before, been to the city multiple times, and only on the eve of closing on 639 did we, was it found out that you have these cross-attaching liens where it wasn't even related to their own properties, related to 5T Wealth, who, unfortunately seems to have caused a lot of headache. I've seen kind of the different properties that 5T Wealth has owned and how other, community members who purchase properties from them have gotten partial releases. I understand maybe those partial releases are related to lots outside of the city of Lakeland, but, we do ask that consider as a whole kind of this circumstance, and just the positive impact that it will have to release these liens and allow these properties really to be sold, and the future of kind of the city and growing. And when you have people who want to build here, they're going to want to build more. We're under a massive undersupply of housing, but even just the fact of building new housing just brings up the property values so much. And I apologize if I'm going on and on, but I just you just feel the kind of sense of equity in this, and
Do you have any recourse against the title company? I mean, they're the ones that screwed up on it.
Agreed, and to the extent of trying, possibly, to the extent of trying to get it to, collecting an amount that's enough to pay off the, these types of fines. I imagine it's going to be very difficult, but
Madam Chair, may I? We are quite familiar with 5T Wealth, and actually the board had directed me to pursue foreclosure on their properties not that long ago. So I have done a little bit of research, and I had a couple of questions that I know that and we do have, unfortunately, we'll have to address each property separately, and we'll try not to make you repeat yourself, hopefully, but for this property that we're talking about right now, this is 341 Hennessy Street, right? And so who currently is the owner of that property as far as you understand?
so there's Daniel Patishtan Santiz and Luz Maria Espinoza Gomez. It looks like there were deeds from 5T Wealth from early this year, January 2022. First deed from 5T Wealth to Crystal Hernandez, who Crystal Hernandez subsequently conveyed it to the two mentioned people, Daniel Santiz and Luz Espinoza Gomez.
Right, so there's been multiple transfers of that property in the last year. It's been kind of changing hands quite a bit, and now what you're representing to the board is that Miss Lessa, your company's trying to acquire the property now. Is that correct?
No, sir, not this property.
Not 341?
No, sir.
Okay, who's trying to acquire 341 Hennessy now? No one's trying to acquire that one.
They just want the
You're trying to
release.
acquire the cross-encumbered properties, or you already own
They
them?
already own and already built on.
You already own and built them. So what is why is this coming up now for you if you've already built on it and you're trying to sell it to a purchaser now?
What happened is, we acquired the three properties last year, beginning of last year, and I came to code enforcement.
I'm sorry.
Could you speak into the
Could you speak
microphone,
into the
just so
mic?
it's...
Thank you.
Sorry, I'm not. So we acquired the three properties beginning of last year, March, April. I have some documents here. And I came in person to discuss all the liens with Jim Dane. That was the code enforcement person that I talked to. And then we came to an agreement on an amount that should be paid to release all liens on the three ones that we were purchasing. And then we submitted payment. We had a hearing, like reducing the amounts that we could pay. And then we started plans and started building on the three lots. One of them is already finished, the one on 639 West 3rd Street. And then we found out when he tried to sell that there was a lien, cross-attached lien on the properties that were affecting not only this one, but the other two that I had come and negotiated with the code enforcement. So it completely got us by surprise.
So this is the buyer's title company for
Yes.
the purchaser. They've hired a title, now that title company is refusing to insure title.
Yes, there's no
claiming that there's a
insurance, yes.
Right.
That's the question. So we really were not aware of nothing like that could happen because, as I said, I came in person multiple times. You know, I have all the papers here that I discussed with Jim, that he took notes himself of the amounts, of what could be done. And then we proceeded from there because I came to check, you know, it was not something that I heard. So I don't know. I think that it would be like just fair with us that we are trying to build new homes, you know, improve the community.
Are all three of the homes under contract to purchase?
No, because two of them are not finished yet. But I have pictures that they are, and I have the building permits and the inspections performed, and they are up there. We are in the drywall point already.
And the gentleman behind, I'm sorry, sir, I didn't catch your name earlier, but what's your relationship to all this?
I'm the owner of 639 3rd Street.
So you're one of her purchasers?
Yes, he's our partner.
I'm the owner and also the general contractor. I built the house.
Okay, so business partner.
And
You and
we
Mr.
found out
Fernandez.
because he was the first one to finish and sell. That's when we found out.
Okay, well, and I'll just report to the board on the 5T. If you recall, when there was both Tarpon 4 and 5T Wealth were the two very large tax deed purchasers that bought a bunch of properties all over the state and then just held on to them and did absolutely nothing. With regard to Tarpon 4, when I began to look into foreclosing on their properties, many of them had tax special assessments and taxes for unpaid years, where if we went through foreclosure, not only would we be hiring an outside attorney to do that work, but then we would take on that tax bill. And so it was better to wait and let it go through the tax deed sale again. And because the special assessments were so high, no one would bid on them, and then they would escheat to the city. So we would take ownership anyway, because the properties were underwater with taxes. Mm-hmm. That's already happened with several of the Tarpon properties. I got in contact with the tax collector's office. There was one property that didn't come back through, and I found out that, I guess by law, the county is only required to pursue a tax deed if the value of the property exceeds $5,000. And so they're going to pursue the remaining Tarpon 4 property, because I made a special request for them to make an exception. Apparently they can, at their discretion, if it's less than the value. So they are going to do that for us for the last Tarpon 4 property, and then after that time, Tarpon 4 will no longer own any property in the city of Lakeland. With 5T Wealth, they have one property in Lakeland that they still own. It's a very similar situation. It's almost $5,000 in back taxes owed on that property, and but with that particular property, it does exceed the $5,000 assessed value, so that this county will be required by law to pursue tax deed of that. So it doesn't make sense for me to pursue a foreclosure when we're going to end up getting the property through the tax deed sale, and it won't cost us anything. So that's why I haven't filed anything with 5T. As far as the issues about the cross encumbrance and things like that, I obviously leave it to the board. It's your discretion to decide, but it sounds like if they've already constructed on those lots and they're moving them on to new buyers, those properties are coming back into service for the citizens. So it's, you know, up to the board to decide how to handle it.
But I don't even know what to recommend, because all the parcel numbers that they talked about are not on our agenda.
Yeah, so, but the overall recommendation is to deny the request.
Well, I also have.
Why is that? Why are we denying the request?
Well, we standardly and consistently throughout our recommendations in the past, because of the liens being in the city,
Yeah.
releasing those liens, releasing responsibility for, you know, past violations within the city, we've typically denied that, or recommended that be denied.
Say again?
And I've been on the side of that.
Yes, you have, yes.
But normally they're outside the city.
Right, yeah.
But here, I mean, I see.
See merit?
Do we have clarity from from your title company who raised this issue of how the releases need to? I think what the issue is, the board doesn't know exactly what they're doing. If they grant what you're asking, what document do we need to then execute to resolve the issue?
I don't know, I think it's just,
Essentially, they're seeking a partial release from their 3 properties from the lien associated with 341 Hennessy.
Which is, the balance is $730?
Yes, that was recently reduced, I think, maybe last
Yeah, it looks
month,
like it.
And that was, I think, the owner had requested that reduction. Prior to that, I don't know, it may have been $20,000, $30,000. But yes, the 341 Hennessy, currently, that lien was reduced to 700 and change. The other 2 properties that we will discuss next, they still have very high lien values.
Was this 341, I'm trying to remember, there was a gentleman who was building, there were multiple cases, and he purchased the property for right at the same amount that the fines were. It may not be the same.
I don't even know what to, even if we're for it, I don't know what to recommend. To drop the cross lanes on these 3 properties?
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah, it would be to grant the partial release, and then I guess I would then work with the title company to make sure that the document stated what they needed it to state in order to ensure title, so they could provide title insurance to the new owners.
So essentially, the $730
This is one
could be
that's-
paid, so that's, I'm trying to figure out, could it be paid
Yeah.
by the current property owner?
That's another thought, is that if that, because it looks like the board already reduced this.
Right.
Once that amount is paid, it'll automatically
gone.
release everything anyway.
I'm fairly certain that when we heard this case and whenever we did this order to reduce in August, that it was for a gentleman who was already planning on building, and we had 4 separate cases, all different, violations, but that were settled, and we reduced one to this, and then there were 3 others, I think. I can't remember exactly. Is that not the right one? I'm not thinking the right one.
The only issue with waiting for it to be paid is that they've got until 2024 to pay it.
Yeah.
And they've got pending transactions that they have no assurances that they can get clean title for.
In that same order reducing that fine, there was a partial release of another unrelated property it was a cross-attaching lien. It's not in the city of Lakeland, it was a property in Winter Haven, but similar to, the finding of fact and order where the fine is reduced, it did partially release another property kind of in the similar circumstance. Although I don't know if that property owner was building and whatnot. Here, we have houses that are built, so a little bit kind of atypical scenario, I guess, in this circumstance.
There we have the
So this
Oh, okay.
explain the cross encumbering properties and will show how these 3 are being encumbered by,
Those other 3
yes,
and Hennessy?
yes.
So Hennessy's listed in that top group as
Yeah,
number
but it's all
2.
of those.
There's 2 more cases that you're going to be hearing that will address the 1019 Madison Avenue to release it from the bottom 3 addresses, and also for 1246 Herschel Street to be released from those bottom 3 addresses.
I'm guessing then those top 3 were at one time owned by 5T Wealth and then changed hands like the Hennessy one did. Is that right? I mean, we'll see. I guess we'll hear it.
Yes, that is correct.
And to clarify, the liens, I think, are significantly higher because they haven't been reduced on the other 2 cases that you'll be hearing.
So the 3 under construction are the bottom 3?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
But we're going to hear those other cases
Because they're tied to the.
it's still going to be, it's not going to be just $730. It's going to be significant. But that, either way, we're still going against principle,
So 1019 Madison is really cross, each of these are.
Because if they're all,
The bottom 3.
Yeah.
So we need to do all 3.
well, we'll hear them separately.
Yeah, separately, but we,
I would just offer this to the board. If the board is inclined to grant the partial release, a motion just granting it as requested by the applicant will be sufficient. With this document here, I can work with the attorney and their title company to effectuate. If the board's not inclined, I guess then the result will be that they won't be able to close on the sale until that lien is paid by the other person who previously had it reduced.
But wouldn't that also mean that any liens on the other 2 properties would also have to be paid before the release was made?
Oh, yeah, I guess that's true.
Right, they're all kind of, it's like a web of liens here, so if you're not gonna release one, then
Right.
you
Yeah, so what
either
you're
need
saying
to
is
release
kind of-
all of them or none of them, essentially. to-
Because $730 doesn't clear them for the other ones.
I'll make the motion to release as requested by that. Second.
Motion by Mr. Hitchcock, second by Mr. Corbin. Do we have a vote?
And what are we voting on?
to release
as
as
requested
requested.
by applicant.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
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 It has been motioned and approved to release as requested by applicant. Do we have?
Well, essentially what's gonna happen now is that our finance department is gonna draft up a partial release document. It'll get signed, it'll be reviewed and approved by the manager in finance who looks at that, and then it'll come to me, and I'll review it and sign it, but essentially I'm gonna be looking for it to specifically reference those three parcels, and it will only release those three parcels from the operation of the lien. So the lien on 341 Hennessy Street
Stays.
will remain, and that $730 reduced amount still needs to be paid by August 2024, or it reverts back to $54,000. So that person will still be responsible to cover that amount. And that's essentially what has just happened here for this case.
Okay.
We got the other two.
Okay. The next one is, right now I'm confused now.
You're good.
Okay. The next case is right below it. It's 2632. Address is 3922 Sunnybrook Lane. No?
Next, page 4,
One
top
more
of page
down.
4.
Yeah, 1019 Madison.
1019 Madison Avenue. Last four is 4198. 5T West Partnership. Code Enforcement Officer Alex Gomez.
No, we still have two more. I'm sorry,
We
she
have more.
misspoke and
Yeah, sorry.
stated the wrong case. We still have two more with these folks.
All right.
Sorry about that.
Alex Gomez, City of Lakeland Code Enforcement, case numbers LCE 18-04198. The address is 1019 Madison Avenue. The owner is 5T Wealth Partners LP. Violation section 886-2 Lakeland Code, lock clearing. Date of violation was 6/13/2018. On 7/26/2022. This case shall be dismissed upon payment of $68,950. The applicant is asking for partial release for 639 West 3rd Street, Lakeland, parcel number 232812051500004091, address 317 West 6th Street, Lakeland, parcel number 2328120555000010070. Third address is 517 West Robson Street, Lakeland. Parcel ID is 23273601600000740. At this time, the staff recommendations is to deny reconsideration.
Okay. You have heard the officer. What do you have to say concerning this one?
Thank you. Shafin Remtula here again on behalf of the three property owners. Just what the city attorney said, I just do want to reiterate, you guys have heard exactly what happened here. I do want to reiterate that a partial release that we're requesting is still, that lien is still active on other properties owned by 5T Wealth or on that particular lot itself. Our request really is, going forward, any lots that are purchased in this manner, I think, kind of learned that.
Specifically from 5T Wealth or Tarpon 4, yeah.
Yeah, and I represent a lot of tax deed purchasers in their quiet title actions, and I see the same names over and over and over again. But with regard to these, a partial release is not just throwing out the lien, it is still a lien on that subject property that has the violations, still a lien on 5T Wealth, and any subsequent owners, of course. But here we are asking again that, for this partial release to be granted, if this was a vacant lot still just being held and nothing being done, we would understand, the board denying that. Here where, really this initial efforts that they did make, you know, they were here before this board before, thinking that everything on these 3 lots were resolved, that they were paid, you know, then subsequently putting in, you know, just hundreds of thousands of dollars in investment, the labor. We are requesting, again, another partial release on these 3 lots.
I make a motion to grant the request for partial release.
Second. Motion by Mr. Hitchcock, second by Mr. Corbin. Do we have a vote?
No.
Yes.
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 Yes. It has been voted and approved to accept staff partial release is granted.
One more.
One more. 1687 is the last 4 numbers. The address is 1246 Herschel Street. Owner 5T Wealth Partners LP. Code Enforcement Officer Joey Brownlow. Attorney Shafan Remtoli.
Code Enforcement Officer Joey Brownlow with the City of Lakeland. Case number LCE 19-01687. The address is 1246 Herschel Street. Owners 5T Wealth Partners LP. Violation was Ordinance 3947, Chapter 3, Section 307.4, care of premises, overgrowth and open storage and junk. Date of violation 3/12/2019, and the order was on 10/26 of 2021. The applicant is asking for a partial release for the following addresses: 639 West 3rd Street, Lakeland, partial number 2328120500004091, 317 West 6th Street, Lakeland, partial number 232812055500010070, and 517 West Robson Street, Lakeland, partial number 232736016000007140. At this time, the city recommends the reconsideration to be denied.
Okay, you have heard the code enforcement officer. What do you have to say?
Shafin Remtula here on behalf of the 3 property owners. Just reiterate, you know, what we've gone through over the past, regarding the past 2 properties.
Okay.
Nothing further.
No, we already did that. That's from previous order. Yeah. That was probably one that you,
I'll just,
Voted against.
another little bit more information for the board to know. The Lake Wells is in the middle of foreclosing on their 5T properties.
good.
And so we were served with that several months ago. And all of these properties that are on the agenda today are not owned by 5T Wealth anymore.
Yeah.
5T Wealth has sold them off to other entities. They only, or individuals, they only own one property in the city of Lakeland at this time, and it's not a property that's on the agenda today, so.
Is there
but
any way to prevent that from being sold to someone?
Well, it's got almost $5,000 in back taxes owed, so it's gonna be coming up for tax deed sale pretty soon, so. Whether or not somebody is gonna be willing to bid on it and take it on is another question, but that's why I didn't pursue foreclosure with that. But they no longer own any of the properties that are in front of the board right now.
Yeah.
I'll make the same motion to accept the applicant's request.
Second. Motion by Mr. Hitchcock, second by Mr. Corbin. Do we have a vote?
No.
Yes.
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 Yes. It has been voted and approved to request the applicant's request of a partial release. Okay, is that the only one for, that's the last one for you? Okay, you have heard the order and you have a nice day. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and if you can contact my office and you can try to expedite it, or otherwise it's gonna go through the usual release process. It could take a few weeks for us to process the paperwork.
I'll reach out to you later today.
Okay. Take care.
Okay, have a nice day. Uh-huh.
So this is just say this real quick. So basically, 5T Wealth now has no properties And we will hear cases as people try to develop these properties that have fines that have accrued during their ownership that now second or third owners away from them don't have anything to do with. So as we think about that, especially as properties have the opportunity to be improved, that's going to be the case. You know, we'll never have 5T Wealth here in front of this board or.
Well, they do,
have that one.
they own 1402 Herschel Street, and that's the one I was referring to. It's not on the agenda today, but it does have almost $5,000 in back taxes, several years, and the appraised value of it is around $14,000. So the county will be obligated to initiate the tax deed sale pretty soon on that. I don't have a specific timeline. But the other properties, all three of the ones that were on your agenda just now, some of them changed hands multiple times. That's why I had asked the question, so you could explain that to the board. The Hennessy Street house has actually been transferred about 4 times since 5T Wealth happened. Apparently a lot of these people are either making cash purchases, getting quick claims, not really doing title searches, and then they're finding out what they're getting into.
They try to do it right.
Yeah, sounds like it.
And still didn't find it, which is
Crazy.
how they didn't get that lien.
Right, yeah, they may have a remedy with the title company that did the search for them, and they may be able to pursue that.
Okay. Our next case is at the bottom of page 3. The last 4 numbers is 2632. The address is 3922 Sunnybrook Lane, Francis Serich, Revocable Living Trust, and the code enforcement officer is Joey Brownell. Elaine Serich
I'm
is.
sorry, I was just being told that she stepped out, I guess, to the restroom for a minute, so I don't know if you want to go to the next one or.
Okay. Put that back on. Only have one more tab here. So,
Couple people.
You folks in the back, did you sign in for your case?
I did, yes.
You did?
Yeah, that's her. What's her address? Your address, yes, ma'am.
Oh, 611 West Alamo Drive.
okay, I will call you up then. The last 4 numbers is 5528, address is 611 West Alamo Drive. Page 7 at the bottom. Code enforcement officer Darian Crawl.
Darren Kroll, Code Enforcement Officer for the City of Lakeland. This is case LCE 22-05528. The address is 611 West Alamo Drive. The owner is Craig Hill. The violation ordinance 3947, Chapter 3, Section 307.4, care of premises, overgrowth, open storage, and junk. The date of the violation was August 16th of 2022. The order was given on October 7th, 2022. Affidavit of noncompliance was effective October 18th of 2022. Photos taken on November 8th of 2022 show that the violations still exist. The city recommends a fine of $50 per day be imposed effective October 18th of 2022 and run until compliance is met. I have spoken with Mr. Hill a couple of times, and he has also spoken with Manager Sonny Marshall, so he does know what needs to be done to the property. He is in fact getting it cleaned up at this time, so we are working together.
Okay. Thank you. State your name for the hearing, please.
It's Wilma Hill.
Okay, you have heard the officer. What do you have to say?
We're just working hard on getting it cleaned up. I mean, these pictures are definitely older. It doesn't look like that. Some of these pictures were taken early in the day and didn't come back in the evening, and see, like this picture perhaps that was gone that evening. There was that expedition that was in the driveway. I since have had it removed, and I had to unload a toolbox from it, which you'll find a picture here where it's a 200-pound toolbox. I had to put it in my driveway and wait for my husband that evening to move it, but there's a picture of it. But it was earlier in the day. Had he drove back during the evening, It wouldn't have been there. I just couldn't carry it in my house. All of this is gone.
Could you tell me, when did you move it?
Oh, Lord, that's been 3 weeks ago.
Well,
Pictures are October the.
yeah, Mr. Crowell, you said there was, as of November 8th, was your last check inspection? Yeah.
Photos were taken on November 8th.
Yeah.
And they.
So it sounds like she's made some, yeah, so this is the last inspection there, so.
Right, and all this stuff that's in front, like the travel trailer was pulled out so that I could get to the weeds on the fence line. It's since been put back. I do have a problem with weeds between like my back neighbor and my fence because they put up privacy fence in the back. And outside, in between the fence, there's about a 4-inch gap. And a lot of weeds grow through there and come over to my side, which I can get them off my side, but I can't pull them up from between the fences.
Okay. So,
Also, as of now, I do have my dead sister truck in my backyard.
Well, yeah, I think as far as what we're talking about for care premises and all that stuff, it seems like you are making moves to get it better.
Oh, yeah.
And you're staying in touch with Mr. Crowell, so as soon as you get all of it clear, you can continue to call back for reinspection. As soon as it's done,
Okay.
then we can assess fines, or you can even, work with Mr. Crowell to address that.
Okay, yeah, because
Mr. Crowell, can you clarify what's left? Because the vehicles are separate from care of premises overgrowth and open storage, so.
Yeah, that's correct. This isn't a vehicles case. They have multiple vehicles parked in the front yard. That's not part of this case. This was the overgrowth and the junk. I have not seen the backyard yet. They're working on the backyard, and that's what I'm waiting for, is for them to finish getting the backyard cleared out so I can get onto the property, get permission and all that, and so I can do an inspection.
So as soon as you get it ready to go, make that call and he can come out and do the inspection. And
Okay, where do I stand as far as like my sister's truck? Because,
That I do not know, because I have not been on the property.
okay,
So I can't answer that where you stand.
as long as it's operable and the
it's operable, but
registration
it is not tagged.
will,
okay. Well, that has nothing to do with this case, so before you allow him to come there and take care of that, okay?
Yeah, otherwise that'll open a new case.
It'll open a new case.
Yeah.
And
so-
I also like to add, with the conversation I had with Mr. Hill, I did explain to him that this was a citizen complaint, and the citizen is the one that lives next door. Being able to access the backyard where the neighbor can see the violation is gonna be very important.
Okay.
And if they need any further guidance from Darren, to reach out to him. But in the meantime, code enforcement is, replying to the complainant on the progress of the case.
So as soon as it's in everybody's interest, as soon as you get it done, let him know, and then you can re-inspect and close the case.
Ma'am, do you understand what needs to be done?
Stuff in the backyard?
Anything that's outside that's not designed or intended to be outside is not
Okay, so
allowed to
my
be stored.
four-wheelers are fine out there, my jet skis, my boat, those are all fine in my backyard.
Well, if it's inoperable or
They're
it's kind of
operable. They're all
machinery that's not, parts of machines, or you're working on a vehicle and you've got, parts and things like that all about, then that's not gonna be allowed.
Okay, yeah, that's.
But you can have a boat, you can have a jet ski, it just has to be tagged and it has to be operable.
They're operable.
Yeah. What Mr. Simpson's making sure is that when you do call him out to re-inspect, that the case is closed and it is not continued because there's some other element that's not
Right.
addressed.
And if you need clarification, Darren can meet you and Mr. Hill at the property.
Okay.
To give you more, feedback on what needs to be done to ensure that you are able to come into compliance.
Yeah, I'd certainly appreciate
So he'll
that.
give you his contact information.
Okay.
So I'll make a motion to accept staff's recommendation.
Motion by Mr. Wainwright, second by Mr. Hitchcock. Do we have a vote?
Yes.
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 It has been motioned and approved to accept the staff's recommendation. Now, ma'am, you understand the recommendation is still saying a $50 per day fine. It's effective October the 18th of '22, so you have that $50 fine going. So as soon as you can take care of it, the sooner that fine will be cut off, okay?
Okay,
Okay, so make sure you get with the code enforcement officer, okay, Mr. Crowell?
all right,
All
thank you.
right, have a nice day.
All right, you too, bye-bye.
Okay, our last one according to this is on page 3 at the bottom. The last 4 numbers are 2632, address is 3922 Sunnybrook Lane. The owners are Francis Serridge, Revocable Living Trust, and Joey Brownlow is the code enforcement officer.
Code Enforcement Officer Joey Brownlow with the City of Lakeland, case number LCE 18-02632. Address is 3922 Sunnybrook Lane. Owners Francis H. Serridge, Revocable Living Trust. Violation is ordinance 3947, chapter 3, section 307.4 for care of premises, open storage, and junk. This is a repeat violation case. The date of violation was 4/25 of 2018, and the order was on 4/27 of 2021. The case shall be dismissed upon payment of $54,200. The city recommends that the fine be reduced by 50%, which is $27,100, plus admin fees of $730.54, for a total of $27,830.54 to be paid by 11/15 of 2023.
Okay, state your name for the hearing.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Eileen Serridge. I am the property owner of 3922 Sunnybrook Lane. I inherited the property from my mother, who purchased it for my disabled brother, who is currently living on the property. Back in 2017, my mother was very ill and ended up passing away. I was taking care of her before she passed away. My brother on the property, as I stated, is mentally disabled, legally mentally disabled. Well, to start off, I had no idea of any of these violations that were going on. All of the certified mail that was being sent, everything was being sent. There's about 3 different addresses that are on file for some reason, that everything was being sent to my mother's old address. I've been in the same residence for over 22 years, which is 926 Lakehurst Street. The only way I found out about the violations was the gentleman that had purchased my mom's property, I guess. I don't know where he purchased it from. I sold it several years prior. Was finally brought a letter over to the Sunnybrook Lane address because he kept receiving, the mail there from code enforcement. So once I found out about the situation that was going on there, I was a maintenance director for 25 years in the healthcare field. At the time that I was taking care of my sick mother, I also worked for a company called Genesis Healthcare, where I was a traveling maintenance director doing 9 buildings across the state of Florida. So I was pretty preoccupied, and once I inherited the property, I didn't know anything about code enforcement violations or anything. I'd never, had any situations like this or been responsible for a property that had them. So apparently they had been communicating with my brother that lives on the property. And as I stated earlier, he is mentally challenged. So his mind, things were being taken care of. There was about 5 or 6 certified letters that were sent. Every one of them were returned to code enforcement. So to back up a little bit, once I found out about, you know, these issues, back in March 24th, I went down to the code enforcement office and I spoke with Jim, who I guess is now retired, and I kind of, you know, discussed with him about, you know, my mother had been ill. I'd gone through a terrible breakup myself after 9 years, so my health is not well. I'm also disabled. I'm not working right now. I'm waiting for my disability. My brother, he doesn't work. My mother had applied for disability for him back in 2017, and I guess maybe it was denied, but the case never got finished because he's not able to do it, and that's why he drags stuff home, because he's trying to make a living. I didn't realize the state of the case, that, you know, he had no income coming in. I don't charge him anything to live there. He just lives there. We own the property, so you know, it's not a money-making property. It's just a family thing. You know, we don't have much, but we have that. And so once I found out about the issues that were going on over there, I went down to the code enforcement office. I spoke with Jim, who I gave my correct address to, my phone number, all of my information, so that, you know, and I asked him to make sure that they please communicate any further issues with myself and not my brother because of his disability. And so then I met with Daniel. Hi, Daniel. Daniel was kind enough to work with me, and from there we started, you know, I started getting the property in order, getting it in shape. The minute I found out about these issues, I addressed them. You know, I'm a get-her-done kind of person. I don't, you know, we don't break the law. We don't intentionally do anything wrong. So once I found out about the issues, we got everything cleared up. And that was in March. So I kept in close communication with Daniel and Jim at the office to make sure that everything was getting addressed that needed to be getting addressed, including myself. As I said, I was traveling for a living, so, you know, I was going over there when I could to make sure that the property was staying in order, speaking to a couple of the neighbors and, you know, just making sure that things were okay to the best I could, my ability. That was around the 24th, March 24th is when I said I went to the office. On the 26th is when the property was cleared, and I see it was officially cleared on 4/14. The affidavit of compliance was put into the system. And then, which I just read that, but I was a little confused because when in speaking with Daniel, because I still wasn't receiving any notifications to my proper address, even after I had gone to the code enforcement office, made sure they had my correct address and all. The first time, anyway, so 4/27 through Daniel, I found out there was a court date here on the 27th. And so on the fact finding that was submitted on the 27th, it says that no one was here. The respondent was not present. Well, I was present that day. No one asked me for any testimony. No one asked me for any evidence. No one asked me to sign in. I was here with Daniel. He told me about the court date. We spoke right here in the courtroom. So I don't know why I wasn't asked for any of that information. So, as I said, this was all new to me, so I was under the impression that things were all done, said and done, and taken care of. I didn't know what the procedures were, but I knew I had to come to court that day, and that's what I did. Well, So now I'm trying to sell the property, which I spoke to Daniel about back then, and I said I need to get my brother out of the city limits. You know, he's never gonna get it because of his mental condition. Well, you know, I have to take care of myself, so I can't watch him and his property, so my decision was to move him, get him out of there. And I've been working on doing that. And so when we did a title search, of course, we found out about these liens. I had no clue. Like I said, I thought back then that it was all said and done, handled, you know. And just to add, there hasn't been any violations since then, except for one like 2 weeks ago, and it was just his truck not having the tag on it. I don't know what he was doing, changing the transmission or something. But it got cleared up right away with Joey. So, you know, like I said, once I found out about these problems, there was nothing else there. You know, we handled the business. So I'm asking, you know, that I don't have a job, I don't have money. This is affecting the home that I'm living in now. You know, I'm trying to, my mortgage is behind now. So I'm asking the board to drop all the fines. I don't mind paying administrative fees because I think that's fair. You know, I know people are taking their time, they have to get paid to do their job. And I'm not saying that we're totally innocent in this, you know, it's my property, it's my responsibility. But this is a lesson that I've had to learn. But, so that's what I'm asking for.
Why was this 50 and not 10%?
Repeat offender.
Because those are repeat violators.
Yeah.
What was the initial case that was before the, so 2018 made it a repeat offender, so within 3 years of that?
I mean, the money that I'm getting from the sale is, I'm getting $10,000, that's it. And that's enough to get my mortgage and my home caught up. And my brother's gonna have to live with me. So if these fines are pursued, you're gonna put 2 disabled people out on the streets because we're not gonna have anywhere to live.
Can you say your name again? I'm sorry.
Eileen Sarich.
Eileen?
Eileen.
Eileen, I'm sorry. Eileen.
Sorry, I get emotional about it.
Are you the trustee for the
Yes, I am.
irrevocable trust? And have you consulted with an attorney, or are you certain about your ability to sell the property as a trustee?
Oh, yes, everything was, yes, everything's in order. My mother made sure everything was in order. Yes, I have an attorney.
Okay, and you stated that you've got a buyer. Are you saying you're under contract to sell the property right now? Is that?
No, I'm not under any contract because we just did a title search and found out about the liens. But
You just did the title search just to get ready to list?
yes, it's part of the process.
Okay. Okay. And then the number that you're saying about what you'll make, that's just your estimate based on what you think you'll list and what you owe?
I mean, it's an offer that I'm gonna have to take because I'm waiting for disability and the property that I'm living in is 3 months behind already. So I have to do what I have to do to save that property.
Okay, thank you.
And this is a property that the city of Lakeland helped me get. You know, it's the Keystone home. It's nothing fancy, but it's mine. And so I'm trying to save it because I can't work.
So you already have an offer from a buyer?
No. Pardon?
So you already have an offer from a buyer?
I guess he told me he would, you know, that's what he would do.
It's not on a contract because of the lien.
Yeah. I guess my question about the repeat offender, so this is similar issue with her brother that made her a repeat offender.
Yes, I had this case up. It was cited.
He's been the same person living there all this time, and that's when everything was going on. I was going through a horrible divorce. My mother was passing away. You know, everything was just hit me at once. So
I'll just say, I mean, the code enforcement staff's gonna give you their 50% standard recommendation. they don't want to be in the business of giving you a different recommendation and then being
Yeah.
accused by citizens
No, we got it.
of giving special treatment to some and not to others.
Yeah.
So they come with their standard recommendation regardless of the circumstances. That doesn't tie the hands of the board in any way. The board can address this, hearing all the facts and circumstances, and do whatever the board feels is appropriate based on the situation. We have talked about the admin costs as being a hard cost to the city. The board does have authority to remove those as well, but the code requires a finding of an extreme financial hardship. So if you think the facts support a finding like that, then you can eliminate all of it. But that's not something that the board typically does. But the code references extreme financial hardship. So I just bring that to your attention and let you know you're not tied to the staff recommendation, and they don't make it. It's just something that they have to do to be consistent and to be fair with everyone.
And she has another case here too. Yeah, we have another case for her after this one. Okay. Okay, board, do we have any recommendations or?
So she has another one after this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I make a motion to reduce the fine to administrative cost only.
I'll second.
So reducing the fine to nothing, and plus the administrative cost.
Yeah, no fine, but administrative cost only.
Okay. Okay. Motion by Mr. Corbin, second by Mr. Wainwright. Do we have a vote?
Yes.
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 It has been motioned and approved to fine only, administrative cost only of $730.54 to be paid by November 15th of 2023. So administrative costs only, okay?
Thank you all so much.
Okay, and we have one more case on page 4, second to the bottom, and that case is 4353. The address is 3922 Sunnybrook Lane. Francis Sarich, Revocable Living Trust, Elaine Sarich, Code Enforcement Officer Joey Brownlow.
Code Enforcement Officer Joey Brownlow with the City of Lakeland. Case number LCE 20-04353, address 3922 Sunnybrook Lane. Owner is Francis H. Sarich, Revocable Living Trust. Violation ordinance 4134, section 1, derelict vehicle. Data violation 9/8 of 2020. The order was on 3/23 of 2021. This case shall be dismissed upon payment of $3,300. The city recommends that the fine be reduced to 10% of the original, which is $330, plus admin fees of $292.20 for a total of $622.20 to be paid by 11/15 of 2023.
Okay, you have heard the officer. State your name again for the hearing.
Eileen Sarich.
Okay, you have heard the officer. What do you have to say?
Well, basically the same situation. My brother was basically letting every Tom, Dick, and Harry live on the property with him, which I've also put a stop to at the same time. Anyone notice that goes by there, they won't see all these strange vehicles. None of them belong to my brother. You know, they were just all crashing over there, doing whatever they felt like. So I went over there and I had to clean house and make it clear to him. And hopefully he gets it now that, you know, it's not a flop house.
Okay.
I mean, basically the same situation as everything It's the same time period as the rest of the stuff that was going on. I'm sure you don't want to hear my sad story again, but it's basically the same, same scenario. It was all in the same time period.
Now, here it has a total cost of $622.20. Are you able to pay that?
Ma'am, I have nothing right now.
Okay.
I have nothing.
No, that's just a question because that's the amount that's owed for this. That's why I'm asking.
My mortgage is 3 months behind.
Okay.
He has been helping me pay my electric bill. I've gone without electric.
Okay.
You know, in the last few months, several times. It's something I've been used to.
Okay.
You know.
Forward.
I make a recommendation to, motion to dismiss the fine and pays administrative cost only by 11/14/2023.
A second.
That's the throw down. Motion by Mr. Corbin, second by Mr. Hitchcock and Mr. Wainwright at the same time.
Say your name first.
Do we have a vote?
Yes.
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 It has been motioned and approved to only pay the administrative cost of $292.20 by November the 15th of 2023. So you have 1 year to pay the $292.20 for this case, ma'am.
I mean, I don't even have a vehicle now. I've even sold that to help me pay my mortgage, you know, to buy me some more time. So, I mean.
So you have more time now for these fines, and I'll tell you. So there are two different cases. So if you make payments on either, make sure you specify which case you are paying toward, and then if this deadline approaches and you have to come back before the board, we can take into consideration that you have been paying faithfully, even if it's just a little.
Okay,
a
I'll
small
do what I
amount.
can. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for your work to get the property back in good shape.
Thank you, ma'am. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Be blessed. Okay, I don't have any more cases here. No? Okay.
Top of page 5.
Okay. Okay, go ahead.
Adam Gomez, Code Enforcement Officer for the City of Lakeland. The case number is LCE 21-01129, 406 Pasadena Circle South. The owner is Gwendolyn Ann Tinsley. We're asking for this case to be continued to the February 28th, 2023 CEB. This home is part of the City of Lakeland Housing Rehab.
Okay.
A motion to accept staff's recommendation.
Motion by Mr. Wainwright,
Second.
second by Mr. Duke. Do we have a vote?
Yes.
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 It has been motioned and approved to accept the staff's recommendation.
Thank you.
That's it?
For me?
Oh, thank you. Have a nice day. Next.
I think she likes you a little bit more because you only read one. No pressure, Charles. McClellan. Yeah.
Top of page 8.
What were you gonna say?
Okay. Okay.
Charles McClellan, Code Enforcement Officer for the City of Lakeland, case number LCE 22-05418 for the address of 2302 South Crystal Lake Drive.
Wait. You said.
The wrong,
wait.
the wrong page.
That's not the
7.
Okay.
Yeah, it's second from the bottom on 7.
7. Okay.
Yep, changed pages on there.
There you go.
Okay.
So that again is case number LCE 22-05418 for the address of 2302 South Crystal Lake Drive. Owners are Civil Leslie and Jules Minuch Civil. Violations of Ordinance 4134, Section 1, derelict vehicle. Date of the violation was August the 11th of 2022. The respondent shall have until October 17th of 2022 for total compliance, or a $100 per day fine will be imposed. At this time, city would recommend that we continue this case to the January CEB hearing. The respondent did not have a Creole interpreter with them, so they needed more time.
Make a motion to accept staff's recommendation.
Second. Motion by Mr. Wainwright, second by Ms. Berrien. Do we have a vote? Yes.
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 It has been motioned and approved to accept the staff's recommendation.
Checking page number. Okay. Top of page 11.
11.
Case number LCE 21-04163 for the address of 1639 Pineberry Street.
Okay.
Owners are Pablo Cardo Nordars and Roca Ruano. My apologies for the improper pronunciation. Violations of ordinance number 3947, chapter 3, section 305.3.1, roofs structurally sound and maintained. Date of the violation was August the 16th of 2021, and on August the 23rd of 2022, it was ordered that respondents shall be fined $30 per day effective August 5th, 2022 until compliance is met. Affidavit of compliance was effective October 14th of 2022. We have a signed summary for the respondent that was signed today for admin costs only for $264.29.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to accept staff's recommendation.
Motion by Mr. Wainwright,
Second.
second by Mr. Duke. Do we have a vote?
Yes.
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 It has been motioned and approved to accept the staff recommendation. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Have a nice day.
Page 2, third one down. 931 West 6.
Okay.
Alex Gomez, City of Lakeland Code Enforcement. Case numbers 11202-0507-321. Address is 931 West 6th Street. Owners are Hattie B. Hall. The violations for house repair. The staff recommendation is to extend the deadline payment to 11/15 of 2023.
A motion to accept staff's recommendation.
Motion by Mr. Wainwright,
Second.
second by Mr. Duke. Do we have a vote?
Yes.
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 It has been motioned and approved to accept the staff's recommendation.
Top of page 6.
Okay.
Alex Gomez, City of Lakeland Code Enforcement, case numbers LCE 22-00662. The address is 1314 West 10th Street. The owners are Dwight A. Martin Sr. Violation ordinance 3947, Chapter 3, Section 305.3.1, roofs, structurally sound and maintained. The staff recommendation on this was to continue the case to the February 28th, 2023 CEB meeting due to the City of Lakeland Housing is actually rehabbing this residence.
Make a motion to accept staff's recommendation.
Second. Motion by Mr. Wainwright, second by Ms. Berrien. Do we have a vote?
Yes.
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 It has been motioned and approved to accept the staff's recommendation.
Top of page 8.
Okay.
Alex Gomez, City of Lakeland Code Enforcement, case numbers LCE 22-05559. The address is 701 West Magnolia Street. The name is listed on the agenda there. The violation chapter 886. It's going to be section 86-2, lot clearing, junk, trash and debris. A affidavit of compliance was completed on 11/14/2022. The city recommends this case be closed with no fines imposed.
Motion to accept staff's recommendation.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Wainwright, second by Mr. Duke. Do we have a vote?
Yes.
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 Which was this?
701 West Magnolia.
I suppose non-compliance effective.
There was, affidavit of compliance was complete on 11/14.
Yeah, yesterday.
Yesterday.
So this is not correct.
Well, I mean, that is correct as of 10/18. But then
As of yesterday.
yesterday he inspected, yeah.
I inspected it yesterday, and it was cleaned up before the hearing.
Yes.
Yes.
It has been motioned and approved to accept the staff's recommendation.
The last one should be on page 9, at the top of it.
Okay?
Alex Gomez, City of Lakeland Code Enforcement, case number 16400-1208-7049. The address is 828 North Scott Avenue. The owners are Alfonso Howard, Clarence Hartier, and Louis Howard. The violation is house repair. The city recommends that this case be dismissed due to a tax surplus check was received.
Motion to accept staff's recommendation?
Motion by Mr. Wainwright,
Second.
second by Ms. Barium. Do we have a vote?
Yes.
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 It has been motioned and approved to accept the staff's recommendation. Thank you, sir. Have a nice day. Is that it for everyone? Reconsiderations. The motion so ordered for the cases on pages 2 through 4 in which the respondents did not appear is to deny reconsideration.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Wainwright. Second.
Second.
I'll wait now. Second by Mr. Hitchcock. Do we have a vote?
Yes.
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 It has been motioned and approved to accept the staff's recommendation. I'm missing a page in here, look like, to continue. I don't
Cases.
see it.
No, you're on the cases.
Okay, cases continued. The motion so ordered for the cases on pages 6 through 8 in which the respondents did not appear and are not in compliance is that the fines be imposed as stated in the agenda.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Wainwright,
Second.
second by Ms. Berrien. Do we have a vote?
Yes.
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 Motion has been accepted and approved. Dismiss with a fine. The motion so ordered for the cases on pages 9 through 12 in which the respondents did not appear is to dismiss with fines as listed in the agenda.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Wainwright,
Second.
second by Mr. Duke. Do we have a vote?
Yes.
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 It has been motioned and approved. Dismiss with no fine. The motion so ordered for the cases on pages 13 through 17 that are now in compliance is to dismiss with no fine.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Wainwright,
Second.
second by Mr. Duke. Do we have a vote?
Yes.
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 It has been motioned and approved. Adopt summary dispositions. The motion so ordered for all remaining cases that have not yet been heard today is that all signed summary dispositions be adopted with the terms as stated in the agenda.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Wainwright, second by Mr. Hitchcock. Do we have a vote?
Yes.
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 It has been motioned and approved. And if that is that.
Are you gonna do the little thing at the top of every meeting now?
If you all feel that'd be helpful.
And I noticed the description above each section too. I didn't know if that was just cause you wanted to do it or you felt the need to, or, I don't mind it, I was just curious.
I guess to explain, do a preamble just like the other board hearings do.
Okay, cool.
It was asked if it would bring more clarification to the respondents that are sitting out when their case is heard. Some of them don't really know why.
Okay.
So if you feel that it would be helpful.
If you're reading it, could you also put that up?
We can.
They could read along with you. I
Mhm.
think they will quick.
They see it, yeah. Yeah, I liked it, that's cool.
Okay. Whatever I can do to help, you know.
Yeah, and you said a lot of stuff that Veronica's wanted to kind of reiterate from meeting to meeting too, about honoring the time and all that stuff, so.
Okay.
And I guess I should not close this out before we talk about, at our last meeting, we was talking about it was time for a vote again, but usually the person that sits in there finish their term out, and my term ends in April. So if you all don't have a problem with me with the job that I'm doing, then I ask to stay in there until my term is out. If someone else is wanting the position, then the time is now to ask for it.
I'll make a motion to move that you be considered for chair.
Second.
Okay. It has been motioned and approved that I stay as chair until my term ends. Thank you so much.
Need a
I
vote?
appreciate it. Do we have a vote? Yes, of course.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, I made the motion.
Jordan.
Jordan.
Motion by Mr. Wainwright, second by Mr. Corbin. Now we
She was
have
so
a
excited,
vote.
yeah.
I vote yes.
Everybody voted
Real
yes.
fast.
You're done, your term is done on the board in April? And like, that's it?
That's it. So we would have to start thinking about, you know, moving some seats.
You need more
We
people,
have
y'all.
2 people that are ready, you know, to join the code board.
Oh, you do have new people?
Well, could,
Well, they're alternates, yeah.
oh,
Not for
okay.
long though.
Yeah.
Not for long.
They're
Yeah.
alternates.
I was gonna say, we could make them alternates now, but if they're already alternates, then.
Let's be really nice. And then maybe we can make them permanent members, because I know a couple other people on the board that are permanent
Got
members
right away.
who were alternate when we started.
Alternates, right. Because I started out as an alternate for
Me
years.
too, yeah.
And then finally, I just moved from one seat to the other.
Oof.
So it took a long time.
I'm glad you got people. I was worried about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 people.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been working on it, and that's good.
They've come and been here before and seen it.
Yeah, and one
guy sat down.
Yeah, one of the gentlemen was sitting next to me at one of the hearings. He was one of the candidates.
Okay.
So they're very interested.
Cool.
So, yeah.
Do we vote on vice chair?
Oh, yeah, so, that's right. Jordan just brought to our attention, since I stayed in as a chair, we need a vice chair. Do we want to keep, Mr. Wainwright as our vice chair?
I motion for William Wainwright to remain vice chair.
Second. Motion by Mr. Corbin, second by Ms. Varian to keep Mr. Wainwright as our vice chair. Okay, and if
You just say all in favor.
all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, the motion has it that Mr. Wainwright stays in as our vice chair. And if there is no other, then we'll close out our hearing. Hearing closed. Thank you so much.
Reminder,
I don't know.
hearing next month.
Hearing, wait,
Oh,
is anybody else ending next year?